David, 3 points collected this afternoon. What did you make of today's performance?
I really enjoyed the performance. I thought right from the off, I thought we showed a lot of energy. We challenged them to be dominant in possession because we felt that Berwick, having had the difficult game against us a few weeks ago where they lose 6-1, we thought they'd be a bit more robust and a bit more difficult to break down. So we challenged them to try and make sure the possession that we had purpose as well, to carry a threat when we got closer to obviously the penalty box. So I thought we were good in those areas. I thought we were good in general terms in terms of defensive moments. We had to do that as well. But the bit we probably lacked was just that final third play, the bit where we could break them down and be creative and be inventive and be different in around the penalty box. So the players are aware of that. We spend a lot of time in the training pitch to try and present those scenarios for the players because we think it's something that we have to be dealt with quite often. But we spoke to them at half time. This is the type of game where against a like for like age group, you could be 2, 3, 4 nothing up. But this was a good challenge because playing against a senior team where they've lost the game heavily against us a few weeks ago, we thought they'd defend a little bit better, a little bit more robust. So we had to be patient and trust in what we're doing, trust in how we try and get to the penalty box, but be more aggressive in their penalty box to try and break them down. So it was good for the guys because they need these types of games. It shouldn't be easy. If you're 2, 3 nothing up quite early on, then they probably don't get the challenge that they end up having today. So I thought it was a thoroughly enjoyable game.
You touched upon it earlier. The game started with a lot of high intensity from both sides, with us trying to break down their final third, but they did have a couple of opportunities within our half as well.
Yeah, well, we said that to them, obviously, for the amount of possession we're going to have and the amount of players we're committing to try and obviously get on the front foot and win the game or get ahead. That does leave you a little bit open and vulnerable for any sort of counter-attack moments. So we did say that these are the areas we need to be focused on to try and make sure we're preparing to defend even whilst we've got the ball. So it's something we've been doing pretty well in recent weeks, but they had a very, when they got regains, the striker was quite physical to go and deal with in terms of his getting round them and getting in a position where you can go and contest the first and second balls. So we challenged the back two to try and find a way to make sure one was always in front to go and pick up that second phase when it developed. But as I said to you, we shouldn't come into these games expecting it to be easy, and it wasn't. But it doesn't mean that we're not happy with how the guys tried to go about their game. We just want to try and be better in the final third. And obviously we end up getting to a point where you win the game through a penalty kick. But that also comes through perseverance and players not giving up on what we're about and what we're trying to do, and running without the ball and trying to break into the box, which is eventually how we got the penalty. Tony stepping onto a ball and getting kicked in the shin, I think, as he was taking his touch through. So we earned that right, and it was just that patience and resilience to wait till we got to those moments.
And what were some of the additional key messages in the dressing room at half time, with it being 0-0 and the game was still quite high in intensity?
Well, as I said to you, the first word was patience. We can't change what we do because the scoreline's what it is. We've got to be patient and trust what we do. We wanted that creative inventiveness in the final third, whether it's somebody going to just commit and dribble against someone, playing 1-2s, having the shot, having a cross, because it had to be something different that broke them down. It wasn't going to be just as simple as getting to a crossing position as it was another night against Ali. We've created many opportunities from crossing. Today that wasn't the case, so it had to be different. We wanted to try and maintain the intensity, particularly on transitional moments, so we're on the front foot to get regains. And ultimately remain focused, so when it did break down we were in a position to go and get regains. So these were key messages we spoke about. We reminded them how good they were, but we also challenged them to try and be better in the final third. There are different ways to win games of football, and today we had to just be a bit more patient and trust, and hopefully something, as I said, was a bit different in the penalty box and it came through a penalty kick.
And how important was it for the boys to keep those key messages in their head, especially when Berwick go down to 10 men, and not let them become complacent in that fact?
I actually thought that was probably the moment we had least control, believe it or not, and we said to them after the game about that. You know, when you go, they get down to 10 men, you're already 1-0 up. We don't change what we do. We end up becoming a little bit more direct, which often gave them opportunities to get times in the ball, which we wanted to try and avoid because then we had to defend deeper. So the challenge there is, yeah, the score is what it is and they're down to 10 men, but we've got to trust that we can still play the way we play, spend more time in the ball, try and take the pressure out of the game by the way we move it. So we spoke about that, but these are learning bits, because we need to try and make sure next time, because it will happen again, we'll be in that situation again against a team where it's still quite tight, but they're maybe in the last 5 minutes trying to have a go at us, irrespective of they've got 10 or 11 men. That's what you would do. You're still in the game, it's only 1-0. I have to also say, in terms of the substitutions, impact is important, and you've seen today obviously with Tony being involved in gaining the penalty and then taking it himself. So it just shows that these guys, were disappointed not starting the game, they've still got a huge part to play, and that proved to be the case.
And it's been a busy week for yourself and the rest of the squad. A big game on Wednesday night and a big win as well against Alloa in the SPFL Trust Trophy, and a very challenging match as well here today at Dumbarton. That must be something that the boys are embracing.
It's actually, when you look back on it, I think it's our 5th game in 14 days. Which, to go into that 5th game in 14 days and still have the energy that we had at the start of the game and the quality at the same time, shows you, first of all, what level the guys are at in terms of their fitness, which is important. They can keep going at it. It also shows you, in terms of between these games, how they're getting looked after, how they're also looking after themselves to make sure they can still maintain levels of quality and energy at the same time. It has been a good challenging period. I'm pleased that the guys have got this week, this midweek, where we've not got a game to play, so we can actually settle in a little bit, recover, but also train properly, because I think our training days in recent weeks have been a bit more about match prep and recovery. So this week we can spend a bit more time on the pitch and look at certain aspects of the game in a bit more detail and train them at a different level with a bit more loading within it. So it's a good spell to have, but it's also a good spell to have been in. And we go out the back end of it. We start next week in another spell of busy kind of game period as well. We're going to go another 5 or 6 games back to back. So it's a good programme for the guys to be involved in. It's an exciting programme with the different levels of game, the Lone League, the UEFA Youth League and the Trust Cup as well in there at the same time. So it's an exciting period that we're involved in, but it's good that players can keep turning those levels of performance against different types of opposition, and obviously they've won the game as well, which in everybody's eyes will look has been important, but I think that's just the backdrop of what they've achieved in terms of their performance levels and their ability to try and keep themselves finding an attacking threat at the same time.